Man, you hear a lot about, I don't know if anybody's been in church a whole lot, but usually it kind of seems like people, consciously or unconsciously, usually try to figure out who's in or out. I don't know if anybody noticed that, but I've been in groups and churches, and maybe somebody is in for a minute, but they made a mistake. Now they're out, And then you've got, say, 40,000 different church denominations maybe kind of doing the same thing. Trying to decide who's in or out. We're trying to polarize things. We're trying to make things really simple so we can, control. John Taylor, my friend, picked up on a movie plot that I didn't pick up on because I was so religious at the time. It was called The Book of Eli. You ever seen that? It's the end times. Denzel Washington's got a couple swords. He's got to keep the last King James Bible on earth on the planet on his back, right? And he's going around spreading the word, reading it. He's blind, and somebody's weeping because he's reading a psalm. And the antagonist of the movie, which I didn't quite pick up, John was like, "Oh yeah, that movie, that about them trying to control people." You see, the antagonist was Gary Oldman, excellent actor, not very good looking, highly underrated, but an excellent actor. He was the bad guy trying to get the Bible in this far future story so that he could control a society, so that he could start a new people and tell them, "I'm the prophet," or whatever, in this book, and control people. And you know what? Come to think of it, that's a very classic story. In fact, that's happened before. In fact, it's probably happened quite a bit, where men will see something from God and think, these people are following me. I got to get in there to make it the national religion or something. I got to get in there to control people, basically. And I thought it's fascinating. But anyway, my point is, who's in or out? We're all in. When Jesus died on the cross, we're all in the sense that we're all qualified for His love.
Yeah.
Do you understand that?
Bring it on. Yeah.
If the line is who is qualified for His love, who is qualified for His ministry, which is the healing paradigm, meaning we're hurting. Sin is a sickness. That God is not more petty than us. He's not in the sky looking at our sin and thinking, gotta get it right. That's what we used to believe, you see. But Jesus came and He basically said our sin is a sickness. Because you see, the apostles were like, Jesus is trying to heal this guy, right? And they're like, well, who sinned? His mom or dad? Who did all this bad stuff to make him, have these curses on him? And He said, what? Like, that's magical thinking there, y'all. You're making some wrong connections. It's that the glory of God would be revealed. Pick up your mat and walk, amen?
That's right, amen.
Right. So, what's cute is, I saw this documentary on Mr. Rogers, and I just wept through the whole thing because, and people give him smack, and it's interesting that religious spirit will try to just trample on something beautiful, like the most beautiful Christ-like spirit you see operating the earth. This religious spirit will rise up and put conspiracy theories around it, or just try to label and dismiss, like poor Mother Teresa. Well, she's a Catholic. Do you know that Mother Teresa did the best she could with what she believed, but she loved people. She was possessed by the Spirit of Christ, poured her life out, went straight into it till she died. That's right, and that's a self-sacrificial loving thing. Well, Mr. Rogers, anybody ever watch Mr. Rogers when he was a kid? Yeah. Do you know that he has amazing ministry? His ministry, he felt like God told him to teach kids how to deal with their emotions. That when kids are frustrated, how to take that to God, how to forgive, how to, it's an amazing ministry. But he would even sit there with the piano in the presence of God, Mr. Rogers, and go, do you hear that? Bing. He'd be like this. Everyone be quiet. Okay, kids. We can see if we can do it here. Okay, kids. Let's get quiet. Listen to the sound of a note. let yourself feel it in your body, in the air. It's a connection. And it's like love from God, and it's a sound. It's just one note. We'll go. And he'd trip for like 10 minutes. He'd be like, see? Everybody's like, what? And it's like, it's God! And he's connecting beauty with God. You see that? And so, a good mark of what Jesus said, a good tree, it bears good fruit, a bad tree bears bad fruit. But I tell you the truth, my friends, the Spirit of Christ always leaves beauty behind. You know what I mean? And so, at the end of Mr. Rogers' life, he was asking his wife, Martha. Her name may not be Martha, but that's a good guess for that time period, I think. So he said, Martha, on his deathbed, Mr. Rogers, he said, do you think I'm a goat or a sheep? I thought that was a sad statement and a beautiful statement. And he is a sheep, and a good sheep. And anybody distorts that term, they just scoop Jesus out the Bible, because I'm a sheep. Of the Lord Jesus, the Lord's my shepherd.
Goats exit stage left, we're going right.
Right. So the thing is, let's do this. So if we're trying to say who's in or out, and Mr. Rogers is worried about it even because he grew up in a framework of religion, fully in love with Jesus, fully possessed by God, but grew up in a belief system that hadn't really worried about that. At the end of his life, if he was a sheep or a goat, or who was in or out. And so instead of you coming to my church, or have you ever been in a theological argument with somebody? Anybody? Yeah. Do you know that most of that, it may be not true at some point, but initially, we're really arguing a belief system that makes us feel comfortable. And Kenny's threatening my belief system because he told me Jesus didn't die the same way I think he died. And he had 3 keys in his hand, not 4. There were 2 angels on that pen, not 4. We're going to argue about it. In fact, I don't like the way you're baptizing people. I'm going to drown you. No. Don't do it. But you know what? A lot of our church history, the winners, got formed by killing the losers. Sorry. Read a book. You know what I mean? Like the Anabaptists. So we're like, we got Jesus, my friends. We got our Bible. We've got the image of the invisible God manifest in human form, trying to set the record straight. And we might backpedal or kind of scoop them out the Bible or make just as dark a religion, sons of hell, as we did before he came. Or we can start looking at Jesus again in this age and say, what did you say today? Because he says he is the same yesterday, today, and forever. I am God, I change. Somebody got the word? No. I'm going to bring some stickers or something, money, coffee, something to start for people who can tell me where some scriptures are when I start reading it. Because I know so much of that Bible, but I don't know 4:26. Where's it at?
4:13.
4:13. Thank you, sticker. You got it. But and today, right now, I can do all things through Christ who strengthens me. But anyway, get back to focus. So Jesus, when he came to the earth, he set the record straight. In John 1, 1 John, it says, no one has seen God at any time until now. If you read the first chapter of John, it's John 1:18, I think. It says, at any time, no one has seen God until Jesus shows up. What is that? Does that mean that Moses, before the foundation of the world, God is like Christ. God is Christ, right?
It's regular John.
What is it?
Regular John, not first John.
Not first. Regular John 1:18. No one has seen God at any time, thank you. The only begotten Son, who is in the bosom of the Father, he has declared him. Meaning no one has seen an image. Meaning Moses on the mountain with his face on fire, gleaming, the glory of God, see in the back, hiding in the cloud, did not have a full revelation of God. The pillar of fire leading the Israelites by night. Or was it fire by day, cloud by night? Way around. See? Yeah.
Fire at night so they can see where they're going.
Right, but they still didn't have a full revelation of who God is.
You're right. Jesus wasn't here yet.
And so, if we can start seeing the Bible a little different, if we can see Jesus showing up, saying, hey guys, this is who God is. We're humans. If I need to teach my dogs, how to quit running away, I mean, it's hard to teach them that because they come back and you get mad at them, but they're not going to get it. If they show up and you're mad at a dog, and because they ran, they're not going to want to come back. They don't get why they're in trouble. And so, like, if I could speak dog language, maybe, they can get it. You're good here, but don't run away. You're like little drug addicts. You run off and mess with armadillos, get all tore up, and come back wanting to be held and taken care of, cleaned up. And it's like, oh, this is like I used to do. But anyway, the best way is to speak their language. Well, that's what God, the creator of the universe, who's holding all the atoms together, who holds the beginning, the end, the first, the last, the beginning, the was, and is to come. One God. In three expressions. But the character would have to be like a human and speak the way we speak and relate to us the way we relate. So God emptied himself, became man, like Jesus, the incarnation, and to speak to us and to reveal to us who God is. And if we think about most of our battle, it's going to kind of try to fight that off. Most of dark religion, and I'll call it out, will try to distract you from that and say, but you said last night. But it's about your performing. You're not going to.
You can't be with God.
Right, I'm going to give this guy the mic. For real.
I just love God, man. You're good at mine, brother.
So, here we go. Let's look at Matthew. So if nobody's seen him until now, that means that, and Jesus says this over and over. They say, Lord, show us the Father. Show us the Father. They're wanting to see this giant monster in the sky. Really, they're looking for Zeus. Y'all know who Zeus is? Lightning bolt God. They're wanting to see that guy, and they're wanting to see this king take earthly power and take over the earth and make all Jerusalem and kill Rome. And they're wanting all this kind of stuff, and they're expecting that. And the Lord of life comes and says, I love you. My kingdom is of the Spirit. My kingdom is eternal, and you're asking for something temporary. My kingdom lasts forever. And so, if you really want a division of labor of sword and spirit, let's look at Matthew 25:31.
I'll pull up my little Bible out. Here we go.
It says, and I like a New King James for now. Only reason I like New King James Version is because I have it memorized. That's really it. That's the only reason I like all the versions. I think they're all great. Okay. So, in 31, because we're trying to see, well, what does Jesus say? If I'm in a church, or I'm in an organization, or I'm in a group, and I'm telling you, you got to spin around 3 times and get baptized this way, and you didn't get really saved because you weren't dunked long enough, and all this magical, mystical thinking, and trying to make you feel guilty whether you're in or out, the best thing to do, in my opinion, is to ask Jesus and see how do things really end up. What are you really after in our life, God? And he says over and over, obviously love, but this is what he says. The Son of Man will judge the nations, in 31. When the Son of Man, Jesus, comes, the return, good, happy eschatology, comes in his glory, and the holy angels with him, then he will sit on the throne of his glory. All the nations will be gathered before him, and he will separate them, one from another, nations, people, as a shepherd divides his sheep from the goats. And he will set the sheep on his right hand, but the goats on his left. Then the king will say to those on his right hand, Come, you blessed of my Father, inherit the kingdom prepared for you from the foundation of the world. For I was hungry, and you gave me food. I was thirsty, and you gave me drink. I was some stranger, and you took me in. I was naked, and you clothed me. I was sick, and you visited me. I was in prison, and you came to me. And then the righteous will answer him, saying, the righteous, meaning the self-righteous, will answer him, saying, Lord, when did we see you hungry and feed you, or thirsty and give you drink? When did we see you as a stranger and take you in, naked and clothe you? Or when did we see you sick or in prison and come to you? And the king will answer and say to him, Surely I say to you, inasmuch as you did it to one of the least of these, brethren, you did it to me. And you will say to those on your left hand, depart, etc. I think sometimes we get such zealous in churchianity, and we get afraid. And when you're in fear, my friends, we enter into kind of a polarizing fight or flight, lower brain form, all kinds of parallels about it. It's true. And we want to attack or defend. We want to get into make sure we're on a good team and they're on a bad team and polarize everything. You see? But the thing is, what that spirit calls, maybe us here, the enemy, God calls his harvest. You see that? And so, in the dark religion we're getting delivered from, we look at other people, our peers, we're the same. We're all the same. No, all have sinned and fall short of the glory of God. You know, if we're trying to measure righteousness, we're in the wrong team, in the wrong game. Some people are fighting so zealous for God that they don't realize they're in the enemy's camp and attacking the purposes of God. Some people are praying for God to give them promises of the same things that he tempted Jesus with.
That's right.
That was a sin. We're asking for things from God that Jesus won. For example, strength and power, worldly power. Jesus went up there, and we want that because we don't think God's ways work. We think we need political systems and worldly power and strength and fight. That's the world. That's what the world does. What Jesus does is leaves the 99 and comes after the one.
Yeah, man, bring it on.
And self-sacrificially loves us until we say, we don't like that God, we kill it, put him on a cross.
That's right.
And then he raises from the dead, goes into hell, conquers death, comes up, holds the keys. My Bible says Jesus is on the throne. My Bible doesn't say that, oh, now it's the Antichrist, we got to be afraid. Get out of the caves, church.
That's right.
You hear me?
That's
We're
right.
not terrified in the corner,
That's right.
you know, of all the strange things out there. It's like God called us to be in the world,
That's right.
but not of it, but in it.
That's right.
He didn't say, hi, come to my... I watched this awesome series. It's called Cults and Strange Beliefs on Hulu. And it's very fascinating. But it's because it's psychological. I'm fascinated by psychological things. But this lady is such a cult. This guy's raping all these kids and doing all this horrible stuff. And they're still like, oh, but it's from God. And I just love my religion. And there's nothing I can't do it. You know? You can't handle breaking out of that form because it's so comforting to your worldview. But I'm asking you, my friends, this morning to be brave. What if we did a reset? What if the things that we've been doing over and over, I've been in church, I've been in ministry, I've been in a mental institution, I've been in a drug rehab, I'm back and forth, I know, let's try God again, and doing it over and over and over. How about we just say, forget it all, Jesus, show me who you are. Jesus, reveal the Father to me. Somebody pray that this. Jesus, show me who the Father is.
Come and get you.
The disciples came to Christ and said, reveal the Father. Show us Zeus. Show us this monster in the sky. And he said, hey, you're looking at me. You see the Father.
That's right.
You see, that would be one of the scriptures I would throw a piece of candy on somebody could tell me where it was.
John 16.
Anyway, that's all I got this morning. I'm just singing a song.
Great, man. That was good, man.
But I hope you hear me. I'm telling you, my friends, I only share like one man who's found bread. Like, I'm hungry, and I know where that bread is, and I've eaten it, and I'm bearing fruit in my life. I'm not arguing theory anymore, because I got fruit behind me.
You shine too, brother. God's light.
And so I'm speaking because I know if you eat this bread, Jesus, the bread of living, of life, that you too will be like, oh, he loves us. And love is important. And in fact, I should forgive all my, and just get some deliverance, and it starts unraveling like dominoes in your